What's up everyone? My name is Malcolm Cherison and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to recap the first presidential debate of the 2024 general election. Now I want to start off by saying I don't believe that there was a clear winner in last night's debate. I did want to take my time with this video instead of immediately rushing it out, putting it out last night. I wanted to decompress, watch it again to fully understand what I was feeling and what I was thinking about what I saw last night in that debate. But like I was saying, I don't think there was a clear winner in last night's debate. I do believe that one candidate did outperform the other candidate by a mile. You know, it wasn't even close. If you ask most people who watched the debate last night, 67% will say that former President Donald Trump won the debate. Now, to me, this was a game-changing debate. There is a deep and wide sense of panic in the Democratic Party. And it started very, very early in the debate. And I was really trying to search for some pros and cons in Joe Biden's performance. But quite frankly, I don't have any pros for him. Nothing but cons. You know, from the time the president walked out onto the stage, it was as if he was trying to confirm all the negative perception about him, especially when it comes to his age and his mental fitness. You know, it was almost as if he couldn't speak at times. He had a very, very raspy voice. He seemed disoriented at times, had a couple of mishaps throughout the entire debate. His performance was dismal at best. I also believe that other Democrats who are on the ticket might have to push him to the side a little bit, might have to separate themselves from the president if they're going to have a chance at winning. That's how bad and terrible his performance was. You know, it's also getting to the point where top Democratic leaders are having conversations about pursuing the president to step aside. That's how terrible it was. I mean, it got to the point where it was almost sad to watch. You know, within the debate, there were starting to be, you know, tweets or posts saying that the president was sick. He was coming off a cold. I'm sorry, even if you have a cold, it doesn't explain his performance. His performance was just lackluster, uninspired. It was terrible. It was extremely terrible. And I know coming in today, you know, a lot of people are talking about, yes, the president should step aside. Now, I think we should talk about, is that really possible? At the end of the day, the president was voted the top candidate for the Democratic Party. So at this point, there's nothing that voters can do, right? We've essentially already made our choice who the top candidate is going to be for the Democratic Party, and that's President Joe Biden. So there's nothing that we can do as voters. It is what it is. The choice has already been made. Now, the only person that can make that choice is the president himself. He can step aside and allow for another person to take his place. Now, he would have to do that before the convention, before the Democratic convention. That's going to be happening in August 19th in Chicago. But he is the only person. The problem with that is Joe Biden is so used to getting knocked down, fighting through it and persevering and coming through and actually winning. So his mentality might not allow for him to actually do something like that. Like, his mentality is not going to allow for him to step aside and let somebody else finish what he started, just because he's so used to being in this position. He's so used to starting off slow. We saw in 2020 In the primaries, he was third leading. He wasn't even number one candidate when he was running in 2020. But, he kept pushing forward, kept persevering, got to South Carolina, and never looked back from there. So mentally, and also knowing his background, I don't know if that is something that he is actually going to be able to do. I think if he does step aside, it is going to be under strong pressure from within his party. Now, let's be clear. Like I was saying, the debate didn't have a winner, but I do want to switch this over to former President Donald Trump. I was able to find some positives with the former president. Once again, he spoke with authority and conviction. That's something that Joe Biden lacked. His stature was much more prevalent than Biden. I also felt he was a little bit more tamed through this debate. If you ever watched any other debates where former President Donald Trump was in, he's a little bit off the rails. But I did feel like within this debate, he was much more tamed. So I did give him points in those categories. Now, with that being said, we got more of the same with Donald Trump. Lies, lies, lies. He never took responsibility of his involvement in January 6th. He lied on immigration. He lied on abortion. You name it, he told the lie. The problem was, when you speak with authority and conviction, those lies do come off as truth to people who don't have the information to really say that it's a lie. I think on CNN they had a fact checker. I think out of every 3 phrases or statements that he made was a lie. The problem was, if you're watching the debate, he didn't come off as a liar. You would have to really know the intricate details of what they were talking about to really know if he was lying or not. It was actually President Biden's job to push back on those lies that he was telling, but President Biden couldn't do it. He was so disoriented, he was so far gone from that debate that he couldn't even push back on any of the lies that former President Trump was saying. Even on Democrats' biggest platform right now, which is abortion. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a time where President Biden was talking about abortion. He was stuttering. There was a whole bunch of and then finally he threw out the word Medicaid out of nowhere. So President Biden's performance was horrendous, terrible, dismal, one of the worst performances that I've ever seen in a presidential debate by any candidate. While former President Donald Trump, it was more of the same, but he did come off more presidential. I will say that. He came off more presidential. Now, he wasn't truthful about some of the things that he was saying. Wasn't truthful at all. But if I'm a voter and I had to look at the two, his stature, the way he propped himself up, was more presidential. Now, to close out this video, I would say I'm extremely disappointed that once again that we have these two options, because neither one of them inspires anybody to get off the couch and actually go vote. If you're a person who doesn't vote regularly or doesn't vote at all, this debate doesn't help you come off that couch. I will say though, if I had to make a choice today, I know what that choice would be, just based off of knowing the actual policies each president's former and current president has set. So that's what I really want to challenge people to do, is take your time, research the policies, the legislations that both presidents have put in place and how your interest falls within those legislations that they put in place. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all for taking a moment watching the video. If you like the video, comment, subscribe. Once again, follow me on all social media platforms at MALC_C. That's Malc C.